This is the Television Enthusiast Podcast, The Weekly Set. Episode 29, recorded October 15, 2015. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Set Podcast. This is episode 29. I am your host, Tyson. Joining me today, as always, are Will.
Hello.
And Kat.
Hi.
So today, we're going to be playing the usual thing. There isn't too much we're going to talk about on what we've been watching. There is, however, a lot of news. So we're going to go over that. Some of it's really exciting. Some of it's kind of cool. But yeah, there's a lot to go over. So let's just jump right in. First news story I got up here. Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman, is going to be playing Penguin's father on Gotham. Now, I don't even watch Gotham anymore, but that's a cool casting, you know?
That is an inspired casting choice. Not only because Paul Reubens already played the character in another movie, but because Paul Reubens has such a similarity and resemblance to the actor they have playing the Penguin.
Yeah.
That just makes sense.
Yeah, it's such a great casting. Almost makes me want to watch Gotham, and then I remember, oh yeah, but then I'd have to be watching Gotham. But man, Paul Reubens, as like Will just mentioned there, he actually played the exact same character of Tucker Cobblepot in Cobblepot. So that's backward. He played the same character in Batman Returns, the second of the Tim Burton Batman movies. It was just kind of if you remember that movie, it just had like a brief scene where you kind of see like how Penguin came into existence and how he was born and was kind of a freak and discarded and all that stuff. So that was he played the exact same character, which is not a character from the comics. That was created for that movie. So that's kind of interesting.
Oh, that's a cool idea. I didn't know that.
But obviously, with the way Gotham's set up, with Penguin being in there and Penguin not being like deformed like he is in the movie and stuff, this is not like, you know, saying that it's in the same continuity or anything like that. It's not even remotely like that. But it's just like an interesting little thing, you know. It's kind of like
what if it is in the same continuity?
That just wouldn't make any sense. But it's kind of like how The Flash casted all these people that were in the TV show from the 90s in kind of different roles. Like, you know, Barry Allen's dad was being played by the guy who played Barry Allen in the 1990s Flash series, and there are a lot of like connections like that. And we got to see Mark Hamill again, who was a villain in the, you know, playing the same character.
Yeah, but then they did weird things like where they actually had Mark Hamill play the same character and show stuff from like the old series.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what they got here with Gotham, but I don't think they're going to show anything from the old movies, but
yeah.
But it's just kind of interesting that there's a connection made there. I mean, in Gotham, one thing I do remember is that his father was never really, you know, mentioned or anything as far as I know from what I saw. But, you know, his mother was very important to him, which was not the case in Batman Returns. I don't think his mother was really of any significance in that movie. So it's kind of, they had a flip there, but now they're bringing in his dad, and it's Pee-wee. So, are either of you still watching Gotham? I know, Will, you were catching back up on the first season.
I was, and then a bunch of stuff I'd rather watch happened, and so I dropped it again for the time being.
Kat, did you stopped watching that in the first season too, didn't you?
I finished first season. I haven't watched any of second season.
I just want to see pictures of Paul Reubens in the character role, you know? That's kind of it. That'll satisfy me. That's all I really want out of it. But yeah, I don't like Gotham.
I'm playing Batman Arkham Knight right now. That is a much better version of Gotham.
Really?
You just need Pee Wee Herman in there now.
Yeah, just need Pee Wee Herman in there now.
Actually, I feel bad because, like, I was even remembering today that I think Robin Lord Taylor is an absolutely fantastic Penguin. And I
yeah, he's great.
Is too good for that show.
There's quite a few people on the show that are too good for it. Dama Logue is another one. Great actor. Amazing actor. He's never really had a great chance to shine that's where it's been successful, unfortunately, you know? He's been in a lot of smaller roles in good stuff that's been popular, and then he had like one role where he was like the starring act, and it was amazing, and nobody watched it.
The only other show where he had a starring role and didn't immediately get canceled was the sitcom. So
yeah.
And so, he's great in this. Like I said, the actor they got playing the Penguin in this, he's great.
One of the new ones they brought in on season 2, he'd been on True Blood and some other stuff before. He's a great actor too. Every time he pops up in something, I take interest, but not if not interested in the show. But yeah, there's a few people on there that are much better than the show itself, unfortunately, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they have paychecks coming in. That's about what I can say.
Glad they're getting work.
So our next piece of news, there's have either of you ever read the comic book Hack Slash?
I'm aware of it, but I've never read it.
See, I'm not really that aware of it, so if there's anything you know, feel free to pitch in, because I really don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it either, except like
You've just seen a cover here or there, so...
yeah, it's apparently some kind of slasher comic book starring this woman. That's all I know.
Well, it's now in development. It was originally supposed to be a movie, I think, but it's in development for TV through Relativity Television is handling it. No network or cable channel attached yet. So, yeah, I mean, our comic book property, horror, not a superhero. I mean, I don't have much to say. I just don't know much about the property, so.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
I like comic book adaptations. One thing I do like about them, regardless of if they're like superhero or not or something, is they tend to lean towards the more like visually dynamic, you know. So it's cool to see stuff that goes that way, just because I like seeing visually dynamic shows. So
right.
Who knows? I'll probably check out the show. I'm more into TV than comic books, so.
Definitely. I mean, if the show's good, why not?
But, you know, it's a smaller comic, so fans of that comic have something to look forward to, or dread, depending on how you look at it. Here's another one here. Deadline is reporting that Hansel and Gretel 2. So the first movie had Jeremy Renner in it, and it was kind of like this like hard-edged, you know, retelling of Hansel and Gretel where they were like witch hunters and stuff.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty stupid movie, but.
That's what I heard.
I watched it, but I watched it while I was like busy writing something, so I didn't like pick up anything. And I was like, I'll have to watch this again just to see what it is, because I didn't pick up a single line or anything.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
I just saw some like explosions and stuff, and that's it.
That's basically the movie. Some explosions and stuff. But
it was
yeah,
gonna be
I watched it, and it was like, after it went off, it's just kind of where you're like, alright.
They had a sequel in development, and they scrapped it, and now they're turning it into a cable series. This is through Paramount Television. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen much through Paramount Television in a while, so that's interesting in its own right. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes sense on TV, I guess, because it would fit in with with shows like Supernatural and stuff, and that kind of vibe of like, you could have like these fun adventures and, you know.
Right.
Maybe flesh out the lore a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't see it myself, but my sister saw it. And she's a Jeremy Renner fan, and she's an action movie fan, and even she was like, yeah, that was pretty dumb. So I hope that they managed to, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll be surprised. When I first heard this into a TV series, I was like, really? But I've heard nothing but good reviews, so maybe I'll be surprised.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad premise, so so they can only improve it. You know, or find a way to make it stupider, but...
We've seen shows of this ilk on TV, and it works. It's one of those formats that just kind of works sometimes. I mean,
right.
You guys didn't check out Grimm, but it's Grimm's like that in that sense that it just kind of took what Supernatural kind of established, and even before Supernatural, like, you know, Buffy and Angel as well, and kind of took some of that format and just put their own kind of little spin on it, and then they had a show that's, you know, some people are going to like it, some people aren't, but it's not bad, and it just kind of works. It's almost like another formula, like a police procedural is a formula, or a, you know, I don't know, like movie-wise, like there'd be Swords and Sandals movies and westerns, and, you know what I mean? Like, there's these very specific formulas that work with these kind of things, and we've seen a lot of these formulas that would match this already on television, so... I mean, it could be a fun show. I'm not expecting anything groundbreaking or, you know.
Right.
Looks like a pretty paint by numbers.
Sure.
What else we got here? Variety reports that Hulu is ordering a series called Shut-Eye, that's about the drama behind the scenes of storefront psychics. Apparently it's going to deal with, like, crime syndicates that are involved and that kind of stuff. It's from people involved in Breaking Bad and Rectify, so it could be pretty good, actually.
It could be pretty good, yeah. It could be very interesting. Exploration
of kind of like morally questionable characters, you know. So I mean that's kind of interesting. It's I know, like in Los Angeles, for example, like almost every laundromat, it's kind of like this known quantity that like almost every laundromat in Los Angeles is owned by like the Russian mob. It's how they launder money. They literally own laundromats. And so this kind of stuff happens. You take these ideas of like these storefront psychics and things like that, and a lot of times you see these businesses and you're like, there's no way they're going to make money in the modern age enough to like keep a business front like that open. And the reason they do is because a lot of them are backed by crime syndicates and stuff that, you know, aren't interested in their psychic abilities or whatever, but are interested in just a place to launder money. So if it's exploring kind of that angle of it more, then that's kind of actually interesting.
Okay, yeah, that is interesting.
Any thoughts, Kat?
I'm afraid I just don't know enough about it at this point. Sorry.
It's still very early. Yeah, we have no idea. I like the people involved, though. I like Breaking Bad, of course, is one of the best shows of all time, in my opinion, and Rectify, amazing, kind of underrated series. It was the first series I did a Spotlight article for, was for Rectify. Great series. So that inspires some optimism for me. I'll have to see how it turns out, though. Again, like no network. Oh no, wait, this is Hulu that's trying to order this. So yeah. Next up, we have FX has just made a series order for Atlanta, which is a new comedy series from Donald Glover from Community.
Wow.
This one's going to be about aspiring rappers in Georgia. I think it's like two brothers or something.
This is a documentary?
No, it's a comedy series.
Okay, because didn't he go off to become a rapper?
He did.
Okay.
He did. That was kind of around the same time he was in Community, but then he got more into it when he left. Which makes me curse rap even more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too terribly interested. I'm interested in Donald Glover. I'm not too interested in rap culture at all. So
yeah, me neither.
But Donald Glover's kind of a weird cat, so it'll be, you know, who knows how the comedy works. It's a comedy. It's not a drama.
Sure. Well, I mean, Donald Glover, prior to Community, as I recall, he won an Emmy for writing on
30 Rock, yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure he knows his stuff.
He's an interesting guy, so I could see it even being something that's of a subject that I'm not interested in, still ending up being a really funny show because he's involved in it. So something I'll probably check out with really low expectations, and then who knows? It's also FX, which has been doing a lot of kind of interesting stuff with the half-hour comedy format with different shows like Louie and You're the Worst and some other shows. So that could be interesting. Now we're getting on to this like Marvel train of news. It's like never
the Marvel train of news.
So I'm saving the better ones for later. So we're going to start with the kind of smaller stories and then lead into the bigger ones.
Yes. Okay.
So first, Powers Booth was cast in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's going to be playing a character named Gideon Malik, who is according to Marvel's press release, a notorious man whose loyalties remain a mystery.
Huh.
So another mysterious character, maybe part of this organization that's in competition with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mysterious character on S.H.I.E.L.D.? No.
Hey, it works for them.
It works for them, yeah, because it's a spy show. I mean,
maybe he's like an Inhuman. Maybe he's involved with the whole. What's the name of the other guy? The really big beastly guy.
Oh, I forgot his name. I don't know. Does that guy like have people involved with him? I mean, he kind of.
If he's being judge, jury, and executioner, there have to be.
He kind of like looks like I got the impression that he's a loner.
Yeah, but he might have some prior connections because it doesn't seem like the other Inhumans, like Lincoln, know anything about who he is.
Oh no, he just
So
kind of comes out of nowhere.
Comes from another group of Inhumans, and if that's the case, there could be other people connected to that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So even if he's on his own, his origin might be tied to some other
I
group.
gotta admit, yeah, I don't know too much about the character. I mean, even in the comic books, that character is a recently created character, so there's not too much about him.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, for sure. Maybe.
We'll have to see. I mean, there's lots of different places where a mysterious figure can fit in. Powers Booth is kind of a, you know.
Maybe he comes from the other planet, the other planet Simmons went to.
Could be. I mean, if they're expanding into the galactic side, and they've already done that with the movies, you know, who knows?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, yeah.
Powers Booth kind of has that look to him, though, of like he plays lots of like politicians and stuff like that.
Yeah, traditionally.
Corrupt businessmen, stuff like that.
Yeah, he's either a politician or a corrupt businessman, so who knows.
So it seems more in line that he'd probably maybe he's involved in the Hydra story, or maybe he's involved in this other agency that's hunting the Inhumans.
Yeah, the ACTU or whatever.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, so going forward, Moon Knight is rumored to be in development at Netflix. Now, do either of you know anything about Moon Knight?
I just know that he has a bunch of different personalities, and he's
No.
right.
Moon Knight is like kind of like Marvel's version of Batman, only if Batman was completely psychotic.
Well, Batman is completely psychotic, right?
Right. Well, I mean, willing to go the next step. And
Okay.
Yeah. But Moon Knight apparently is a guy who gets his powers from an Egyptian god, and he gets like super strength and endurance and all that. That's about as much as I know about that character. I never really followed that character when I was reading comic books because it seemed kind of lame to me. But I was like, so I never really followed Moon Knight. Apparently he has a huge following because apparently a lot of people are very excited about this.
I'd never heard about him before this announcement.
I want to say, I mean, I know about because I read comics in the 90s. I read like a bunch of comics. I read Wizard, so I pretty much know of these characters, even if I didn't follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Time I've ever encountered Moon Knight was I read an Avengers versus X-Men comic, mostly because it featured Rogue, in which Rogue took down an entire team of Avengers, and he was one of them.
Oh, okay.
He worked up on his different personalities. So, yep, I don't really know anything about him outside of that.
So
well, this is something his names come up a lot.
Well, I want to say
in the idea of like doing movies based on the character and stuff, and nothing's ever come of it. It's always like a rumor that keeps.
Well, I want to emphasize rumor because this is.
Oh yeah. This is definitely a rumor.
Yeah, from what I could tell from reading like the articles, it basically comes from a podcast where they were speculating on Marvel's three mysterious new movies, and then somebody
picked up by quite a few sources though.
Yeah, somebody on the podcast basically said, "Oh well, Moon Knight's not one of them. It's a Netflix series," and then everybody picked this up, but all the sources that I see, like all the stories I see, just point to this one source. So I have yet to see an independent source come out and kind of verify that or kind of back that up, say, yeah, I heard the same thing. So this is
heavily rumor territory, but I thought it was worth mentioning just because it would tie in with the Netflix series, and they could do that. I mean, they're kind of doing that with Punisher. They're bringing him in Daredevil as almost like a backdoor pilot.
I figure
aren't they also hinting at Elektra now with Daredevil?
Elektra is going to be in Daredevil, but there's actually been rumor that Punisher could end up with his own series, and I don't think they've talked about that with Elektra.
No, I mean, it makes more sense for the Punisher to get his own series.
Much bigger character, yeah.
Much bigger character, yes, exactly.
But
and if they're going to bring in Moon Knight, I figured they're going to do the same thing. Like, he'll show up in either Luke Cage or Iron Fist first.
Yeah, it sounds like an Iron Fist-esque character.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like it fit in more with that.
Yeah, so, I mean...
That's what's going to happen.
And that's interesting. The most interesting aspect of this story is just that, this Marvel deal with Netflix just seems to be growing in like a crazy way. I mean, the fact that we're even getting a second season of Daredevil, originally this was going to be like, single season. Like, this is a single season of Daredevil, a single season of Jessica Jones, a single season, and then that led up to a single season of The Defenders, and that was it.
Right.
And now Daredevil's got a second season, yeah. And now Daredevil's got a second season.
Probably because it was just such a massive hit, they went,
to
make more of this.
And then Punisher's coming into the Daredevil, and there's rumor that he's going to get his own series. So it just seems like it's just growing,
It is. The only way in which I'm discouraged about the Midnight announcement is I'm kind of like, okay, of all these people getting their new series, there's still like their own series. There's still like one woman to 4 or 5 men. Could have gotten another female character?
I mean,
there's a lot of female characters in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
a lot of them are pretty terrible, though.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's an issue with the times as well. I mean, comic books were such a male-oriented thing that female characters were largely like, sex objects, or what I mean? They were like largely objects of fantasy in that way for male audiences.
To be honest, everybody's excited about the prospect of Moon Knight. I'd rather see Ghost Rider or Blade get their own Netflix series first. Honestly, I don't know how they'd fit more excited.
I don't know how they'd fit Blade in with that world.
They'd just say, hey, vampires exist, and boom, there you go. I mean, it'd be super easy to do.
I just think that would throw in so many ramifications with it. Like, because it would totally disrupt, like, the tone of, like, say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which takes place in the same world if, like, suddenly vampires existed.
That's what they did.
Let's not go there.
That's basically what they did with the Marvel comics when they decided it was going to be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, they could do it, but it would be a pretty big move.
Right.
Because it would affect everything,
Yeah, I hope they don't go there.
What I would really love to see, though, is if they're going to go like a Midnight Suns like series where it's not just Ghost Rider, but maybe it's Ghost Rider and like some of the other supernatural characters from the Marvel Universe.
It'd be interesting if Marvel did something where they actually did a little bit of what DC did in the sense that they'd fracture, certain things off, and like you already have like the X-Men side is fractured off, and we've already talked about how that maybe is a good thing, and that even as good as Marvel has done with everything, like, well, they could take certain elements from kind of the mutant side of things and introduce them into things like Avengers, and it could work. Like, the prospect of that entire cast being added in is just a bit overwhelming with, like, a single universe. Right. It would be interesting to see if, like, Marvel intentionally splintered something and said, like, okay, we're going to do something like Blade and Ghost Rider and these kind of things that have the ideas of, like, vampires and, Ghost Rider with, like, demons and Satan and stuff like that, which doesn't necessarily fit that well with the rest of the MCU. And there's a lot of other series in Marvel that fit into that aspect.
There's that argument, but then people thought the same thing about like Thor, where the MCU was when Thor came out. People were like, okay, well, you got Iron Man and you got Captain America, and they're like this more grand. Now we're going to bring magic and gods into it.
Yeah, but I mean, with them, it's like magic is technology and stuff, so they can't really do that with, like, the devil. But that's kind of going in a weird direction that I don't know how well it would match up. But, like I was saying, it would be interesting to see, what if Marvel did that? What if they splintered that and they said, we're going to create, like, MCU 2? And this is a separate universe, but it's also connected. And we'll have some movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But this is not MCU. This is its own interconnected universe. And we're just going to take certain things that don't work in the MCU.
I don't know if I'm a fan of that.
That's a great idea. I mean, parallel universes, as The Flash is demonstrating, exist in abundance in comic book storytelling. And I think it would be a great way of, like you're saying, like, I don't want them to suddenly... Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have to deal with the fact that there are vampires now or something. Like, that just sounds dreadful to me.
Yeah, it could hurt the tone. I mean,
just because vampires exist in the MCU doesn't mean they're going to start showing up on S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything.
Yeah.
It would be just like they would use it where it made sense as far as the stories they want to tell.
I get you on that side, Will. I just think, like, I don't know, like, I just think it would get kind of cluttered. It's too far out there. Who knows, though? I mean, maybe with Doctor Strange bringing in some of the mystical elements into the MCU.
They're bringing, Doctor Strange is going, full magic. I mean, whereas with Thor, you talked about where they changed magic into technology, and they kind of hedged their bets. Now they're bringing Doctor Strange in, and that's going to go full magic. I mean, there's no room for interpretation there.
Yeah. So, I mean, possibly, depending on how that changes, But I think that they would I don't think they would introduce, like, a Blade Netflix series or something like that introduce the concept like vampires exist. And the ramifications that would have on the entire MCU is so huge. I think they would only do that through a movie.
Well, you would go in with, like, the premise that if vampires do exist in the MCU as it stands right now, they're hiding, they're well hidden.
Yeah, but even so, like, if they did it, I think they would do it through a movie.
Right.
Like, they might introduce vampires in a Doctor Strange movie or something, you know what I mean?
Right, definitely.
But I don't think they would introduce it without doing it through a movie. Just because, as big as the MCU is, it is all interconnected. They have said that they're going to start referencing what happens in the TV shows and the movies, and there are a lot of people that only watch the movies, and there's like almost no one that watches just one of the series or something,
Right.
So it'd be kind of a weird step for them to take. Like, if they did it, I'd expect to see it introduced in a movie. Like, you'd start getting vampires and maybe, reference to the devil and stuff like that in, like, Doctor Strange, And I can't even imagine them doing that in the first season, in the first first movie for Doctor Strange.
Technically,
Because introducing him alone is going to be like a big thing, so I could see it maybe after Doctor Strange 2.
technically, there isn't even the devil in the Marvel Universe. The devil is actually a guy named Mephisto, who is an otherworldly being who has taken on the form of the devil.
Okay, so it isn't. So it is Mephisto that's in Ghost Rider.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but Mephisto is Satan in the Marvel Universe. And, like I said, otherworldly being who takes on the form of Satan because it's scary or to humans or something. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see what happens with this. This again all sprung from rumor. This whole discussion we've had here. But, so we have our last two news stories. I'm just gonna put them together because they are together. These are huge stories, and we talked a while ago about.
So we have our X-Men series.
Yeah,
that we were talking about.
And this has been something that had been in discussion. We were talking about it around the time the Fantastic Four movie was coming out.
Yeah.
And remember, there was the whole thing about they were talking about Fox was trying to negotiate with Marvel to have the rights, because even though Fox owns the rights to X-Men and stuff like that, they don't own the rights to any of that for television, only for movies. And so they were negotiating to do that for TV, to put a TV show on Fox and that was related to the X-Men. And it was like, okay, and we talked a while about like, well, how would what would Marvel benefit from this, besides just their percentage?
Yeah.
And the one thing we came up with as a possibility, which there's been no announcements about, but that it could be a good opportunity, especially the fact that it happened right before Fantastic Four came out, and around the time everybody knew Fantastic Four was going to bomb. That this is around the time the rumors were coming out, that we said, well, Fantastic Four bombs really bad, and Fox doesn't have a real reason to keep it around. This would be a great opportunity for Marvel to use that as their chip to get it back.
No, I just want to interject and say that did not happen here.
As far as we know, there's been nothing said about this.
Actually, both Fox and Marvel categorically denied it.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fox is still trying to hold on to that. I guess Marvel's playing the more beneficiary role here.
Marvel's playing the more.
3 years, we'll get another Fantastic Four.
Oh, God.
What's very interesting, though, if you read the press releases for these two new shows, these two new X-Men based shows that Fox is producing with Marvel.
One on Fox and one on FX, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just want to jump in and say, I'm really disappointed. I wanted them to be about X-Men proper, and they're going to be about Legion and the Hellfire Club. Like
a lot of people,
yeah, but if it's going to be in the interconnected X-Men universe,
we don't know
is
that.
that the plan? Did they?
We don't know that.
We don't know that, but Bryan Singer is involved as a producer,
Okay.
and that makes it pretty likely. And Fox,
Here's what I was getting at.
Okay.
It says you got to read the press releases. Neither press release mentions the word mutants or X-Men.
Yeah.
Except for when it gets to the producer's credits where it says Bryan Singer.
That's a good point.
But yeah, neither the word mutant nor X-Men or anything about that was mentioned in the press releases. It was actually kind of vague as to where these things take place.
If Fox has the rights to integrate that, unless that was a condition that Marvel had, they would be foolish not to.
Right, they would be foolish not to. So it's like, wondering, is this somehow part of the MCU? Is it part of the X-Men universe?
I cannot imagine this is MCU with Bryan Singer involved.
Yeah. Is this X-Men universe? Is this its own thing?
Given that the X-Men universe has already used Hellfire Club, I mean, that's something that would need to be addressed up front on the show.
This would, especially since it takes place in the same era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it is, are they going to have Sebastian Shaw leading it? I don't see how they could. Like, I don't know.
They got Kevin Bacon, but then again, Kevin Bacon's show was just canceled, so
And he was killed by Magneto, so. I hope it was not led by Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost would be weird, but.
Yeah. and again, they did not mention Emma Frost or any of the characters from the film in the press release. No characters were named, except the press release said there's a woman with powers running it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very vague press release.
Vague.
The Legion one in particular was pretty vague, I thought.
Yeah.
That one was kind of surprising.
Wow.
I totally get what you're saying, like, why they're doing this, it makes sense, but still, I still feel like there's been a dearth of X-Men in general. Like, at the very least, I wish they would do, like, another X-Men animated series or something. Like,
I have a
whole X-Men property being made.
See, there's something off here, the way I feel like, because people are complaining that this isn't about the X-Men proper. There's no X-Men appearing in any of these properties that anybody knows of. And I feel like with the way reading the press releases, the way they're worded, it feels like something is off. Like maybe Fox isn't allowed to completely go all out X-Men here with these shows.
Or maybe they're still holding their cards close to their chest on certain things.
Maybe.
Because they do have a few big movies coming out that are going to start establishing the connections. I mean,
right.
You already said Deadpool's going to be connected. Yeah.
But like I said, I just find it weird that not even the word mutant appears once in the entirety of two separate press releases.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's the case, I think my mind's going to melt into a puddle because the MCU is legally not allowed to say the word mutant on screen. So part of Marvel and Fox's deal is that they can't use the word mutant in their TV series. I think I might start crying.
What if that was the trade that was made? Like if MCU can now refer to mutants even though they can't actually have them. They can't actually feature the characters, but they can refer to mutants. But now,
I just don't see how they could do that, though, because they've made such a big deal out of the Inhumans that it's very clear that they live in a world that doesn't have an abundance of superpowered people. How would they deal with the fact that, and suddenly there's Professor X and Magneto who have been around for decades, but we didn't notice them before?
I was just saying, as a joke, what if, they could go, what are these? Some kind of mutants?
Apparently.
And it was just a one-line thing, and then that was their whole bartering.
It was their whole bartering.
Just so they could throw in a joke like that about the Inhumans.
That was their whole agreement. But the whole fandom would just jump on that and see, what does this mean? Does this mean we're going to have a crossover now?
As for what you were saying, Kat, Kevin Feige says he has plans if that ever happens. If he gets the rights back to X-Men, he has plans.
Okay, I totally get why people want an X-Men part of the MCU, but I am really happy it not being a part of the MCU, and I just don't see how the MCU wouldn't have to just basically reboot itself to make way for the X-Men. So
right, yeah.
I'm happy with the arrangement the way it is.
I'm really happy with X-Men being its own universe. I think X-Men works better as its own universe than it does as part of the Marvel universe.
It's like I said, it could work out to Marvel's benefit to follow some of DC's practices, not all of them, but some of them in the sense of splintering off universes, and saying maybe this doesn't fit, so maybe we'll do it as its own thing. And if that turns out to be popular, then we can expand upon that universe without necessarily tying it to it.
And, Marvel's already done this with its own comic books, Marvel has the Squadron Supreme, which are basically complete copies of the Justice League. But the Squadron Supreme existed in its own universe outside of the regular Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
And
if they ever did want to, they could cross them. That's the thing,
Yeah, they could cross them, which they have in the comic books, but it's always existed outside of the Marvel universe as its own thing. So it's not like Marvel hasn't done that before.
Yeah, it's like Kat had brought up the idea of like multiple dimensions, like they're doing with Flash. They could totally do that, where they could at some point have some kind of event that shatters dimensions, and all of a sudden they had these separate connected universes. Like they had, okay, this is a connected universe that has like vampires and, you know, Ghost Rider and all this kind of stuff going on in it. And then we have this universe that is just the MCU as we know it. And then we have this other universe that's like the mutants and all of that stuff. And some cataclysmic event happens and they all start crossing.
You mean like Secret Wars?
I know they would never, Fox and Marvel would never go for that, but it would be kind of fun if they could do that and just ever so briefly have like Hugh Jackman Wolverine interact with the Avengers and all those like fan dreams that we want to see happen, and then have the universe close and they can go back to being their own separate thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean that would be like an amazing. People would lose their minds.
People would totally lose their minds. Are you kidding?
So something like that would be really cool, and it would be a way to do it, to combine all that stuff we always want to see together without like clustering it and ruining it, you know? So that's a way forward, and that's something they could do, but it's something that I think would only work if they started building them up separately, you know? And Fox is already building up the X-Men side separately, and Marvel, to introduce that kind of element and have it merge in that way, would have to develop a whole kind of like, you know, vampires and stuff side that's separate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that would be a cool way to introduce it, you know, because it would be like a lose your shit moment. It would be like when we first heard about the Avengers, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think now that that's happened, yeah, crossovers would be like the next oh my god type moment for me. Like right now, like the goalposts have moved. So now, while the Avengers was a holy grail moment for me growing up, now a Marvel versus DC film would be the next holy grail.
That's funny though, is because I would get just as much of a oh my god, or even more so, over like an X-Men crossing with MCU.
I know, right?
And then originally they're from the same universe, so that's like.
I know
but it would be like, I can't believe I'm seeing Wolverine and the Avengers, and it's like, oh yeah, it's been in the comics for ages.
I know,
see, but that's how I would want them to do it, and it's one of the many reasons I don't want X-Men to join the MCU, is I don't want Marvel to recast all the major characters. Because it's like, how can you ever cast Hugh Jackman? How can you ever cast
let's think, it's a good thing for Hugh Jackman that X-Men isn't in the MCU, because Hugh Jackman would literally have to be in every single movie.
Yeah, every movie ever made.
More Wolverine. And he's only did, what, 8, 9 movies?
Yeah, the way, like, Marvel just puts Wolverine in all their comic books, like, yeah, you know, it's like Wolverine's a member of the Avengers, and Wolverine's something Spider-Man.
Oh, hold on, guys, I got it. In the current season, the first season of Once Upon a Time, as I'm watching it right now, they introduced the Mad Hatter, and they started talking about the other dimensions. What if it crosses over through Once Upon a Time?
Well, the Mad Hatter is also the Winter Soldier. They could totally make it work.
Yeah, right? Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Oh, man. That would be amazing. In, like, horrible ways.
Yeah.
Let's move on from news. Let's talk about what we've been watching this week. So, we're not going to talk about everything we've been watching, because there's some, like, kind of little restrictions here and there and that. You know, there's some stuff that I've watched that, you know, Will might be behind on, and there's some stuff like Kat doesn't want to watch Kat doesn't want to watch Arrow right now because she wants to have it to binge, so we're just not going to talk about that. And we have a whole other video thing where we're kind of talking more in detail about those shows. So we'll just kind of leave Arrow off. But we do have a few things that we can talk about. So, even though we talked about The Flash a bit in the other video series we have, which is, by the way, if you want to check it out, it's on YouTube. The video series is called TVE versus Marvel and DC is the name of this video series. And yeah, so we talked about, the Flash and Arrow, and we talked about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We'll talk a little bit about Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, but yeah. What are kind of your general impressions now that we're like 2 episodes into The Flash, Kat?
I don't know. I think all my reservations about the series remain, and my response to the premiere, this was my biggest complaint about the finale, was still, how does their timeline even still exist? I know they don't want you to think too hard about it, but the moment Eddie killed himself, the whole timeline should have unraveled itself. Earth never should have existed, and so it's. I can't apply logic to this show. That's why we're thinking it.
Well, that's why the singularity existed or opened up.
Yeah, and they solved it by having Firestorm blow a hole in it. Like,
when in doubt, physical force.
Like watching this show, they've decided to incorporate tons of time travel, which is understandable because I understand it's a big thing in the comic book. But I feel like if you have even like the slightest bit of understanding or appreciation of the complexities of time travel mechanics, you can't watch this show because it doesn't care about any of them.
No, it does not.
You also got a small spoiler for Arrow in the episode of Flash last month.
As soon as it came up, I shrieked and put my hands over my eyes. Don't tell me anything! But
we won't.
This is the risk I'm going to take. I know I was going to take the risk.
Spoiler, Oliver Queen
I have no one to blame but myself.
Spoiler, Oliver Queen did not retire with Felicity, and he's still a vigilante.
Oh, thank goodness.
I got another spoiler for you. He referred to himself with male pronouns. He's confirmed that he is actually male.
You know what? Take it all. I want to see Oliver in an arrow suit shooting people with his bow and arrow. I don't want to see him driving off into the sunset with Felicity. Anyway.
Right. Oh, God, yeah. No, that was terrible. Well, okay. I get what Kat's saying, but what they're doing is so amazingly fun that I don't care. I don't care how they get there. I just care about what they're doing, and so far it's been amazing. Like, again, this is a show that for such a young show, it's just throwing everything at the wall. And
Will just hits himself in the head with a brick a few times before the episode starts.
Yeah.
He's just dizzy and out of it enough that he doesn't have to.
Plenty of shows and movies I've liked I think it becomes a degree when you like it so much that you kind of forgive those details and you don't care because you like it.
Oh, that happens with Doctor Who at times.
I get that. I think that's totally valid.
That happens at Doctor Who a bunch of times, too.
Basically,
it's like, you just did something you said that you couldn't do in a past episode, but now you just did it. And it's like...
But basically, now they're talking about the multiverse, which, more so than Marvel, like you were talking about Marvel doing a multiverse. Marvel doesn't have a tradition of having a multiverse, but DC does. DC has a rich tradition of a multiverse going way back to their comics in the 60s to actually the comic that this episode was completely based on, which was The Flash of Two Worlds.
Well, we had that poster that teased that cover, and we got a scene that matched it.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I freaked out. Like, they actually did that in a scene in the episode. I was like, are you kidding me? Stop being so good, Flash.
They even had the little wall divider thing, like,
but it's like that one comic book introduced the entire concept of the multiverse to the DC universe, which became like a huge part of that comic universe, and their tradition. And so it's kind of cool to see the Flash show doing the same thing for their TV universe.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like Cisco being all like secretive. It feels it's starting to have that Smallville effect to it. It's like nobody can know my secret, even though I'm part of a team with a bunch of like crazy secret stuff.
Yeah. Cisco makes sense because he's kind of like scared of what's happening to him.
Yeah, but he's working with him, like his best friend basically is a metahuman.
Yeah. His best friend is a metahuman. But some things I didn't like. I didn't like Barry Allen's like standoffish attitude towards Jay Garrick, even though like I totally understood. Okay, you couldn't trust Wells.
And the second he mentioned the word helmet, they're like, "Oh, everything's fine."
I know, right? Oh, that helmet we found. Totally, I get it. I mean, I didn't like that.
Yeah, we don't need brooding Barry Allen.
Yeah, no, stop it with the brooding, Barry. Just be fun. Be fun.
You're DC's
Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're DC, Peter Parker. We don't, you're not DC's Wolverine, you know? Or
No, Barry Allen is no Wolverine.
Yeah.
No. I found Jay Garrick's Earth 2 universe to be like conceptually interesting. I mean, apparently it's present day there, but everything looks like like the 40s. I don't know what's going on with that, and I'm interested in it. And guess who showed up at the end of it? Wells.
Hallelujah.
From another dimension.
I am very happy about
Rain
that.
and Wells.
Tom Cavanaugh is like the best member of the cast.
Yes. Yes, so I knew they would find a way to bring Tom Cavanaugh back because, there has been no announcements about him leaving the show.
And then we have we also got our first shot of Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Who we know is being voiced by the actor who plays Candyman in the Candyman movies.
Zoom.
But he's not necessarily playing the character. He's just providing the voice until they can reveal the character.
Yeah, until they can reveal who the character is. Zoom looks properly terrifying, even more so than Reverse Flash.
And the voice plays a big part in that, too.
Yeah. That actor's got that kind of, imposing voice. My thing is, Barry Allen couldn't even beat the Reverse Flash in actuality. How is he going to beat somebody who's faster and stronger than even him?
Yeah.
As the season goes. So I think, that provides a decent threat. That provides a decent big bad for the season.
And it obviously can't be Harrison Wells again. So,
right. Yeah, that'd be
hoping the reveal of who Zoom is a fun twist.
Yeah, I hope it's a fun twist too, like the original Harrison Wells reveal was.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. So, let's move on from that. Now, Kat can kind of tune out because Will and I are going to talk a little bit about Scream Queens.
Oh, yes. This show. Oh, my God. This show continues to be amazing and fun. And just even like some of the dialogue in there. Like, there's a part where, there's a part where she's talking about her pumpkin patch like thing that she wants to make, and she's like, and the one girl there didn't get Led Zeppelin to appear. And she's like, well, because apparently one of them died in the 70s, and she says something like, it's not my fault some guy died in the 70s, and like the main character there, Chanel, she's like, well, whose fault is it then? Because it's mine.
The unreasonable demands of it, yeah. And the last episode before this week's episode had the great like opening bit where you like see Chanel's like Chanel #1's charity or whatever thing she does by sending like these horrific like severed like leg things on Halloween to all of her fans. And they cut all these kind of like fake viral videos of people going like, oh my god!
These poor donkeys, as she referred to them. Yeah. Which was actually a total complete riff off of like a video Taylor Swift made, where Taylor Swift like in actuality did something similar. And it was like just entire sequence just totally making fun of Taylor Swift. Which I'm wondering if Ryan Murphy has something against Taylor Swift now, because he also had the character that
Deaf Taylor Swift.
Deaf Taylor Swift, which he killed off immediately, like almost as soon as she was introduced.
Not only, but then he had the killer do like the little arm,
Yeah, did the arm thing, in like a pretty horrific manner. And then he does this, and so I'm thinking, is there some static there with Ryan Murphy and Taylor Swift?
We'll actually have Taylor Swift actually show up on the show.
Yeah, I know, right? Also when Chanel number 5, I think she is Chanel number 5, and like the two twins were in the maze being chased by the Red Devil and stuff. and then one of the twins says, "It's this way, I promise." And she goes, "How can you promise? This is a maze, and you don't know the way."
Like that, we have to walk backwards.
We have to walk backwards. They start like shouting that. It's like, oh my god.
And then one guy's walking backwards, but not in his tracks. Like he's right from where his tracks were. This was like pointless.
Yeah, it was just like completely pointless. It's like, of course he gets it.
Yeah.
And then what is it with like the Red Devil apparently has a crush on Zay Zay?
That was hilarious.
I know.
He like abducted her and he like takes her and she's like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna kill me?" And then he's all like, "Oh, here's your nachos." And
you see like the moment where like he opens the hatch and he has that dog and it's totally like Silence of the Lambs. Like, there were so many references in this. Like, there was that reference to Silence of the Lambs. There was a reference to, like, The Shining.
Yeah.
I mean...
And they did do a good job on that maze when they had it with all the snow and stuff when she was running through it. It did have that... the Shining maze look to it.
Shining maze look to it, yeah. That was totally amazing.
It's all, and here's your cornfield maze. It's all, what?
What? I want a full replica of the maze from The Shining. Oh my god, then she goes to jail. And
they did a little, like, Orange is the New Black spoof with, like, the way the prisoners, like, they had the one that was, like, the transsexual prisoner that, for a second, I thought, like, God, that it looks exactly like the actress, and I'm like, I don't think it was her, but
maybe, I don't know, I have to look it up. Yeah, she goes to jail and did that spoof, and she's like, you guys are my BFFs forever. And then, like, right after she says that, he's like, oh, your bail's posted, you're free to go. And then she gets up and says, later, losers.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But let's move on and bring Kat back into the discussion.
Yeah.
I'll kind of take a little time out, and you guys can talk about Once Upon a Time.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Once Upon a Time. So this episode, it was nice to see more interaction between Hook and Emma this episode.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't sincere, like on Emma's part, because she was like playing him for his sword.
I think that's what gets me, is because I've seen a lot of people saying that about Emma, but I think what the writers really, really, really need to do, really need to make clear at this point, is we have absolutely no idea how much of her is actually Emma.
That's true. They haven't like clarified that.
So because if there is any small part of her that is, then it probably wasn't her entirely being underhanded, and I think she's getting her short end of the stick. I feel like, especially because the writers leading up to this season spend a lot of time saying things like, the Dark One is a magnification of who you are, which indicates to me that there's a degree to which she really still is Emma, and she probably, if that's the case, she may have only been manipulating him, you know?
That's true. I think maybe it probably goes beyond just manipulation. I like that how they're not like how they're playing it, where like to a degree she is still Emma. It's like, because when you had like the Dark One, when you had the Dark One, he was to a degree still him.
Yeah, like he was
Rumpelstiltskin.
he was still Rumpelstiltskin. Like he was kind of an emphasis as certain aspects of Rumpelstiltskin is at least my interpretation of it.
Right. Like he still cared about his son. He still cared.
Belle.
Yeah, and Belle. He's so they were still there.
This is where the writing really isn't working for me because everybody is treating her like she isn't her, even though they've had almost no time together to see whether or not she really is still her. Like they're already acting like she's just the pure manifestation of evil, and Emma's completely gone. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? Like the writing is. I
think the characters are basing their treatment on Emma based on their experiences from dealing with Rumpelstiltskin.
Sure.
Where most of those characters never met Rumpelstiltskin before he became the Dark One, so they don't have.
That's a good point.
That frame of reference, yeah.
So I'm hoping that will become clearer as the season progresses, and I'm really, really hoping that the next episode is going to be Emma-centric, because I really, really want to know things. I really want to know more things from her perspective at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see what's going through her head, and not just the fact that she's seeing this manifestation that's telling her things, but but like what's actually going through her mind as she has the Dark One inhabiting her. I think that'd be interesting. Yeah.
And how much of her has managed to survive? I'm guessing it's going to be, you probably won't know until the end of the first half of the season what exactly caused her to finally embrace it, but I'm dying to know what it is, because I think that's going to give us, that context is going to give us some needed understanding of Emma as the Dark One.
Yeah, definitely. Also, how about Arthur being a villain?
Well, the thing is he a villain or is he? I feel like they're intentionally being vague about that. Like
again, I think they're trying to do it where he's not this evil person. They don't want to do it to where he's this out and out evil person. But he is definitely being set up to be the antagonist. Like his reasoning, it sounds pure. At least it sounds pure to him, you know. So you can get where he's coming from there, but he is willing to do. It seems like he's willing to just do awful things to get to do what he feels he needs to do.
Which could be interesting, because if he's doing bad things for noble goals, that could potentially be more interesting. Even though there is a small part of me that has watched the last 2 episodes and gone, I wish they were spending more time with Dark One Emma and less time with the Camelot stuff. The Camelot stuff isn't grabbing me a lot.
Right.
And the Dark One Emma is like the most interesting plot line they've ever done on the entire series.
Even though they're trying to tie the 2 plot lines together.
Sure.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
We'll see, though. I'm hoping they rescue Merlin sooner rather than later. The show is notorious for dragging out those kinds of things.
Yeah, like I'm not expecting...
Major things will happen, and I would like to have him appear as soon as possible.
Yeah, like right now, I'm not expecting Merlin to show up towards the end of this half of the season, and like in pretty short order, heal Emma of the Dark One, and then
Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, I'm still really enthusiastic about the show, and I'm still excited about this plotline. I'm just hoping it gets better fleshed out in the upcoming weeks.
I hope it does too. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see Merlin for the first time. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, and I really do want to see more of Dark One Emma, especially now that she has Rumpelstiltskin, and apparently she's going to turn him into this pure hero who's going to be able to remove Excalibur from the stone.
Yeah, this could be really entertaining, especially if she's doing it with the evil Rumpelstiltskin following her around, telling her what to do. That could be really entertaining.
Yeah, a double dose of Robert Carlyle.
That sounds like a good use of Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tons of fun. I'm looking forward to it. No, I'm surprised like they had like the girl from Brave show up in like only one episode, and then that was
Well,
it.
I think she's supposed to come back in later episodes.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, to pull a major character from a Pixar movie for one episode would be weird. So I'm pretty sure she's going to come back later.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on then. Let's talk about Quantico. So, Kat, you're up to date, right?
Yes. Gosh, this show, I swear, I just watched the 3rd episode today, and I swear what this show has done in its first 3 episodes, it should have done in maybe its first season. Oh my gosh, we have done way too much. Holy freaking bloody crap. When they started inserting stuff like Miranda and her son and that other girl who I have absolutely no idea what her name is, suddenly she's trying to talk to someone on a computer screen. She wants to talk to her daughter or whatever. Like, this show really needs to pull it back.
This is one where I'm like, if this isn't a one and done series, like, I cannot imagine where they're going to go with a second season.
Yeah.
But I mean, I felt the same way about Homeland, and then Homeland proved, all we have to do is ruin everything.
Ouch.
So, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it's so tied, the series is so tied into its premise with the kind of the way it's using, kind of like the way Arrow uses its flashbacks and things like that, except Arrow can kind of transition out of that, where this is like so tied into that premise.
Right? Like,
with its
once
structure.
they reveal who the real terrorist is.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, then what?
Because they've established they've already graduated from Quantico, so...
They've already graduated, they established who terrorist was?
They haven't established who the terrorist is yet.
Oh, okay.
No, that's still the secret, but in the flash forwards, they're already graduated from Quantico.
Well,
it's
parallel. It's not really a flash forward. There's like, you're seeing at one time, you're seeing, right after the disaster happened and kind of the chaos following the disaster. And the main character kind of like being the suspect and all that stuff, And then the other side you're seeing when they were training in Quantico before they were FBI agents and stuff.
I spent, the most recent episode, I spent the entire episodes, the ones in the entire portion in the future, thinking how much better it would have been as its own separate thing if, like, they had spent a season with them training in Quantico and then a season dealing with, like, the terrorist attack. How much more effective everything would have been across the board. They would have had much more time to, like, flesh out characters and their relationships and all the differing elements in Quantico. And then when they got into the second season, they would have that as a foundation, and it would just be so much richer. But instead, this show just mashed everything it could together, and oh my gosh, it's exhausting to watch.
Yeah, this is, I just can't see how this could go past one season. It just doesn't, like, I don't know, I think at the point where they go past one season, they invariably have to just ruin everything they set up in the before,
Unless they want to do an anthology series, and here's the next group of graduates from Quantico.
Yeah,
and here terrorist attack. That would be redundant.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh, I hope it's one and done.
Yeah, I mean, it could do, if they do it right, it could be like a really kind of fun, entertaining single season show. I just can't see it doing more than that. And if they don't go in knowing that that's like a strong possibility, then it could be like very unsatisfying ending,
Yeah, absolutely. Because then they'll try to create an ending that allows them to continue the series, and it'll be like, what was the point?
Yeah. It'll be like what The Killing did, where like everyone was kind of hooked into The Killing, and then like they tried to drag out the mystery into like the second season. And, like, the fan base just dropped off, like, hard. It's like, no, this was a one-season mystery.
Right.
You can't stretch this out. That's bullshit. And people were just out after that.
Just do what Veronica Mars did. Create a second mystery for the second year.
Yeah. It's just the problem with Quantico is what would the second mystery be that it could tie in well with the premise of the show. So it's one of those shows, like I was saying before we started the podcast, this is a show that I enjoy, but like I wouldn't fret if it was canceled.
Yeah. I think what I find most disconcerting about it is this is a show that it's hit the ground running in every way, and it has absolutely no room for patience. And I worry that it's kind of like this network pressure you need to be delivering, everything as soon as you possibly can. And my response to that is, remember the good old days of Lost, how they spent like the first season with almost nothing happening in terms of like the mysteries and stuff, and instead they had character-focused episodes, and they were really slow and super interesting. I wish more shows would learn from that.
Imagine if Lost at the Hatch happened in episode 2.
Oh my gosh! It wouldn't have been anywhere. It wouldn't have had near the same impact.
I know, right?
Lost was amazing because it spent so much time building up its characters.
Right, exactly.
At the start, and it never lost sight of that.
And every season kind of reinvented itself, while at the same time feeling like the logical continuation of where they were.
Right, yeah. It seemed like, first season they're on the island, they're alone.
Second is the Hatch.
Second is the Hatch, and they introduce the others, and you find out other people are on the island. They're not necessarily friendly. It just keeps building and building, and like in this kind of logical way too. So where you're like, but they always like hold back, so you're always intrigued. You don't know what's happening and they're slowly revealing more and more information to you while building up these characters. That's what made Lost such a good show.
Right? Mm-hmm. And when it introduced a new element, it would let that encompass the whole episode. Like, when we first learned about the numbers, it wasn't a one-off in the midst of 20 other mysteries. It was the focal point of Hurley's episode, and we spent the whole episode kind of contemplating the numbers, right? And that gave it a great foundation as they became more and more relevant throughout the series. And so I desperately wish Quantico would do something even just the slightest bit more like that.
So all of this Lost talk, and just like the way Lost was so good about doling out the mystery slowly and letting things remain mysterious and stuff, I have to bring up, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I've been watching the second season of The Leftovers, which is the new series that Damon Lindelof has been doing for the past 2 years. And in the second season, the first season, like the title sequence, it was like, blah, and the big like Leftovers title came up, and this kind of religious iconography type stuff. The second season, the opening is just like all of these kind of like photographs of people where like one of the people in the picture is like missing. Like, but you could see their outline, but they're missing in the picture. And it's just playing like this, this like folksy song that's basically saying, I'll just let the mystery be. and it's funny because a lot of people have been kind of like almost shocked by the way, like this quick turn that the opening credits took on the show, like how vastly different it is. And the thing that everyone's kind of drawing to is that it's almost like this is like David Lindelof's like response to the criticisms of the series. As like him saying, and in a sense, more than just of the series, of like him as a whole. Like who he is as a showrunner. Of just like, I'll just let the mystery be, that the answers aren't all necessarily there, so it's just kind of, I just wanted to bring that up just because.
Yeah, because Lost did get some undue flack for not resolving all of its mysteries, and I thought it was fair of the writers to say, well, not everything needed to be answered and resolved. If that's what you were watching the show for, I think you were watching it for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. So it's just kind of, that maybe that's why we can't get a Quantico that, has a little bit more mystery to it is exactly because of that, because they got so much slack for Lost.
Well, and I think, anyway, I worry that it's also part of this whole, we don't give shows a chance. Like, everything needs to be a hit right out of the gate, or it gets canceled immediately, right? Like, no, the shows can't have a mediocre pilot and slowly build their way towards something good. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent rant that I could go off on, so
Yeah.
we can move on.
Yeah. So actually, we have an article series coming up at the end of the year, and that might be your tangent rant right there, talking about the current state of network television.
Oh yeah, that could be interesting.
But let's move on from Quantico. Let's talk about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, this is something we've kind of all been excited about since waiting for the second season to start. We're 3 episodes in now. Where are you? Where's your excitement level? What are you feeling, Kat?
For Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm still quite enthusiastic. I think the episode wasn't quite as good as the previous 2, but I still think the season is so much better than, it's on such a higher note than it was at this point last 2 years that I'm really quite enthusiastic for the show.
This is solid. This is solid television right here. This is probably what the show should have been from the beginning, but it's here now. So I mean, this is a great show. Right now, yes, it went from terrible to great. I think they finally hit their stride, and they absolutely know what they're doing and the direction that they're going, and they're running on all cylinders.
So we didn't get a chance to talk with you, Kat, because you weren't on the podcast last week, about the second episode. And I know when Will and I talked about it, we were talking about how we love how just deliciously evil Ward is now.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my
the scene
God.
with the car, and
Ward is a much better character now that he's evil.
Oh, I completely agree. And I kind of I think it's worked really well to not have him be irredeemable, because sometimes it's fun to have evil characters like Magneto or someone where you kind of
or like a
feel for them or
spiker,
something.
yeah.
But no, Ward is he's completely gone, and it's so much more entertaining that way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, turning him into a psychopath was the best thing the show ever could have done for him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's the
great.
best thing that happened to his character, because his character was so vanilla and boring as a good guy.
And you can tell the actor's having fun too. And
Right?
I mean, this is
the best.
we saw it with in the Comic-Con panel this year. He was already, you could see him just savoring the deliciousness of Hydra. And then we got that video. Did you watch the video he did with where it was with
Quesada.
Yeah, did you see that video, Kat?
No.
They did a video where it was he was playing himself as the actor. And he was contacting one of the guys involved in Marvel TV, who's a big, top guy at Marvel. Yeah, Joe Quesada. And talking about how Hydra has an image problem, and he was making all these preposterous proposals to change the logo and stuff.
He wanted to
make it
change the
more
logo
friendly.
because he was saying how since his character was going to be the new head of Hydra needed a makeover.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
and so he's like instead of the logo being a skull with tentacles, he had this drawing of a happy face with legs coming out of it.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. I agree about the Comic-Con panel. He just seems to be so delighted with his role and the evilness of it. So
Yeah.
It's working so well. I love it. So,
What I
but
appreciated about the second episode, and briefly tying this back into Quantico, May's storyline in the second episode is the kind of thing Quantico needs. Because it was purely character-driven. It was purely character, introspective, just taking a moment away from everything for one episode, trying to resort herself out. And I really appreciated that.
I appreciated that too. When they went back to May and they focused on her, I mean,
it's what they were missing in the second season when they went through her origin, the whole incident,
Yeah.
And they did that episode and they rushed it too much. And
they really did.
It wasn't
this is the polar opposite of that. It was we're going to give it time. We're going to let this kind of see how those characters react.
Even more amazing is that they did that in an episode where so much else was going on already.
Yeah.
For real. And I like that it wasn't resolved with, oh, when she went back to S.H.I.E.L.D. and all is happy now. It's like, no, not really.
No,
I suspect things for her aren't going to be resolved for a really long while.
Yeah, she's going to have her own arc this season, and it's going to be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Taking its time with these with characters and their growths and their kind of current issues is a real strength of the show right now.
Right?
Simmons is a great example of that. They brought her back. They resolved the situation of getting her back from where she was way faster than I thought they would.
Me too.
But then they're dwelling on it now.
Right?
So they're letting it sink in. Like, she's suffered, by being there. She's having trouble readjusting.
Right. It seems like this season is putting more focus on the characters than either last season or season before it, which is fantastic. Because we haven't actually spent any real time with these characters.
And they even referenced, like, a big part of Season 2 in Season 3 that we never saw in Season 2, which was Fitz's recovery and the restaurant and how they referenced that.
They never focused on Fitz's recovery either.
But they referenced it now, yeah.
The moment they brought Simmons back so early, I was so happy about that because I was like, there's no way they put a cliffhanger on that just to resolve it in 2 episodes and then never go back to it. Like, clearly, like you're saying, the point is to deal with the ramifications beyond that. And Simmons, I think, is the most underserved of the main cast, so I'm really looking forward to what this does for her character.
Yeah,
well, I love this scene. I think it was in the second episode when she woke up from the bed and she kind of crawled down on the floor because she saw that Fitz was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
Sitting down, and that was such a kind of cute moment. It was real touching.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I want to see, That's the stuff that reminds me of, like, Buffy and Angel.
So what's great on this season that they're doing, I don't think that they really did in the previous 2 seasons, is that they're giving characters their own arcs now.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of like,
but they don't feel forced in
the past with
either.
Sky.
Yeah, Sky.
Branched out beyond that.
Yeah, I'm glad like more than just Sky is getting their own arcs.
Well, Sky doesn't really seem to be getting much in the way of anything besides the main. How do I say it? The main
storyline.
The main drive of the forward-moving plot.
Right.
No, I don't agree with that because Sky got more than her due in the first couple of seasons, and I really, really want her now to fade into the background and to focus on others.
I think she's in a good place now because she's not necessarily in the background, but she's also not a character-centric
The vast majority of season 2 was a Sky story arc. So, the entirety of season 2, actually, I should say, was Sky's story arc.
Yeah.
All about her.
And now she's part of the forward-driving momentum of the story and what's happening. But, like her story, like her character story is pretty much complete.
Right.
And there's like a feeling of that, like they're not trying to force new character story on her. They're not like, oh, now we need a new thing for Sky to be dealing with. It's like, no, Sky just does her.
Uncle showing up.
Yeah, Sky's just dealing with it. Yeah,
I'm glad for it because she got her time in the sun. Now it's time for other characters to get that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's working out really well. I'm really liking it.
It feels like we're going to have a large portion of the season now focus on Simmons and her recovery and the ordeal that she went through.
That would be great.
Yes.
I hope so. Yeah. So, that kind of brings us to an end on that. Normally after this point, we talk about what's coming up in the next week. There isn't too much to say because we only have one show on our list coming up next week, and that is Friday, around the time this podcast will be available. The Nick is back on Cinemax. So I say we don't have much to say because I don't think any of us watch it. I tried the first couple episodes, and it wasn't for me. It's well made, but it's just not for me. And there's nothing else to really say about that. So I guess we'll just kind of call it to an end right here. If you are interested in the Nick, it does come back on Friday, October 16th. That's it, though. You can check out all of our podcasts on our YouTube channel. They're all available there. You can check out our website, TVEnthusiast.com. Will is on Twitter at VoxelHero. I am at Tyson Gifford on Twitter. Kat, you're not on Twitter, are you?
I have an account, but I don't really use it.
Well, if Kat gets active, we'll add it. But right now, she's not. So you can check out either Will or I. Neither of us are really all that active either. But I post every so often, and so does Will. So you can check those out. You can check out our YouTube channel, which is all linked on our front page, TVEnthusiast.com. Check out anything on there. Check out our stories that we've got coming up every week. We have a few feature stories. We have a series called Spotlight that focuses on shows that are kind of lesser known, that are flowing under the radar, that you might want to give a second shot to. We also have a series called Top 10 Tuesday. Every week we have a top 10 list. We have, news stories that come up every week. It's a few things going on there, so check it out, TVEnthusiast.com, and let us know what you think. So that is all for us this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network.